depending on what part of the country you're in. First order of business is thank you very much for attending our CX3 demonstration today. I know busy days, and we appreciate everybody taking an hour and a half out of their day to meet us. My name is Mark Pinard. I'm a solution engineer for Sage. I have the ERP X3 product. I've been working with this product for 7 years. Our agenda today, we're going to start with just a few PowerPoint slides. We're going to look then at software, and at the end, we'll open up the session for any questions that anybody may have. So with that, we're just going to proceed. And the first area that I want to talk about, just a little bit about Sage, just in case some of you may not be familiar with Sage, but Sage is the #1 leading ERP provider to the small and mid-market businesses throughout the world. We are available in multiple countries throughout the U.S., and we have over 14,000 employees here at Sage. And what this really means to you is Sage is a good-sized organization that is not in the doldrums. We're very profitable, and we're building for the future, and we won't get purchased by one of our competitors. A little about ERP X3 as an application. This is a fully functional ERP system that's fully integrated out of the box. It comes as a single solution without the need for third-party add-ons. Employees build into it some tools to help you with analytics, to help you with reporting, to getting information out. And we'll see a lot of these as we go through the application. We'll point these out with the dashboards. But this is really important because rather than spending all of your time looking for information in your ERP system, X3 can provide the information to you on a dashboard so that you could use it interactively and not have to spend your time searching or looking for it. The functionality that's included in X3 is extensive. We includes everything on the financial modules with the AR, the AP, the general ledger, fixed assets, but all the way through purchasing, order entry, customer service, inventory, manufacturing modules. So bills and materials, formulas, and routings are all contained. And we also build into X3 a CRM, the Customer Relationship Management software. So it's all inclusive within the core ERP application, which is a little different than some of the applications that are out in the marketplace now that are licensed or sold by the module. X3 is all inclusive. X3 is easy to implement product. Implementations typically run between 3 and 6 months. It reduced a lot of need for any ancillary or third-party products so that you could put everything into one database and use the tools to extract the information that you need. And we're very open in our technology structure, so we can use API calls to integrate with web services and really virtually bring in any other pieces of information that we need to within the application. Just a few slides that I just wanted to talk a little bit about briefly, but now what I want to do is just dive right into the application and show some of the functionality that is built into ERP X3. And the first area that users are presented with is our dashboards, which represent to us a lot of information. The information on these dashboards can be tailored on a user-by-user basis. User will have the ability, without the need of an IT staff, to organize their dashboards as they want. So if you're familiar with Facebook or Google homepage, where you can drag boxes around and organize your desktop out on the web, X3 Desktop does that same thing. So users will have the ability to pick up any of these boxes, just drag them where they want them to be and drop them. So what I talk about, though, are a couple of things. Those are the tools that we provide within X3 that come standard to you out of the box that are core functionality. And one of the first ones that we could see is the business intelligence tool. This is inherently built into X3. We call these cubes or data marts. There are 3 of these that come predefined. The first one looking at in the upper left is my sales rep order analysis. We're representing sales by sales rep, and we've this particular cube up so that we drill down into additional detail. So we're looking at dollar amounts this rep has sold, but we can drill down and look at particular product classifications that this rep is selling, and we can drill down further to look at individual products that the rep is selling within the different product classifications. These business intelligence cubes are user definable. You can either create new ones or take these existing ones and tweak them by adding in more levels of details or more analytics. If up, down the amount, I can also change the view and look at what the margin is that this sales rep is dropping to the bottom line within the organization. So rather than just looking at dollars, we could set these up to look at margin, or we could look at amounts. Flexible, and these business intelligence cubes are available throughout the ERP application. They're not just focused within sales analysis, they're also there for your shop floor, for your accounting, and for the purchasing reports. Also here have the ability to go out onto the local web and bring in some news articles and other information that may be pertinent to you. A lot of customers who work in a multinational environment need multi-currency. They want to go out to the web and bring in local, or not local, but international currency exchange rates and drop them on their dashboard for viewing. So you go out to the web and bring in information and throw it on there as well. I'm going to my sales tab, and there's another example that I want to point out, and that is over on the right are some user-defined inquiries. This is another tool that comes standard in X3. There are 130 of these queries that have been predefined, and you can deploy them as is, or you can use them again as templates, and you could add to them or change them to meet your own needs. These user-defined inquiries are excellent for things like exception information, things that have fallen outside of normal operating parameters within your organization. So here we've got one example with sales orders with a short stock, or sales orders that are shipping late, or maybe they're purchase orders that didn't arrive on time, or customers who are on credit hold. Things of nature where they fall outside your normal parameters. We want to display that information on my dashboard so that I can interact with that and use it to help me get the information I need. So what we've done is we've made these queries interactive, and we can drill into any one of these. Any field that is underlined is a hyperlink, and we can click on any one of those fields and drill through to the detailed data that is behind that information so that help us make the decisions that we need to make. So that's just putting information on the dashboard. It's making it interactive and available for us to work with so that we don't have to run a whole bunch of reports every night, have them queued up and delivered to us in our email or on the printer. We can have them delivered to our dashboard where we could then work with them interactively. Tool that comes standard in X3 that we're seeing is up in this upper left-hand corner. I have what's called a visual process flow. This is a tool that is an alternate way to navigate throughout the ERP X3 application. We've provided process flow, or a standard business procedure, and this one is called the quote to sales order process. So we could see where we have access to our customers. We can put a sales quote. We get over to an order, ship the order, input the order, and receive the cash at the end of the day or at the end of the month. This process flow, again, is a tool that we offer standard within the ERP X3. It comes 140 of these role-based flows predefined, and the user can drag them over to their dashboard and use them as a navigation tool. Each one of the teardrops is linked back in the screen in X3, so similar to using the hyperlinks on the user-defined inquiries, I can click any of the teardrops and it will open up the score me and position me on a record that I last viewed. So it's an interactive tool, and it comes in very handy, especially when new people come into an organization. Without a lot of training within the menus or training within ERP X3, they can sit down with their dashboard and know intuitively how they're going to interact with the software to do their function. The dashboards can be very extensive. As you can see, I've set up multiple tabs on my dashboard, each one outlining a different functional area that I want to work with. So here at my purchasing dashboard with some more user-defined inquiries, but I've got those that are set up more from a purchasing point of view than a sales point of view. And you can have as many tabs in your dashboard as you need to represent all the information that you need to see. So we talked about the tabs being user definable, the users can pick the boxes up and drag them where they want and drop them. So I have full control over where viewing their information. They can also look up the existing content list. This is all of the business intelligence cubes. This is all of the user-defined queries that are available. They can peruse through all the queries, find the information they want, simply drag it over and drop it onto their dashboard where they want to view it. The information that's available to them is certainly permission security controlled. If they have access into financial information, then they'll be able to bring that information over and drop it on their dashboard. So it reads their login, it knows they are, and it knows where they have access and what kind of information they have access to. And if they get rid of an item on their dashboard, they could simply click the X and it will go away from the dashboard and be there anymore. So the next area, the next topic, I just want to talk a little bit about how the screens are laid out within the ERP X3 application, how to navigate through the different screens and what kind of information we're looking at. And the first thing I want to do that I say I haven't done already is I'm going to put my screen into full screen mode. And while I'm doing that, I want to also mention that the ERP X3 is a web-enabled application. I'm running this through my Internet Explorer. With X3, we also deliver a local desktop client, and you'll get to choose which one you want to use when you deploy the application. So one user may choose to access it through Internet Explorer, and another user could access it through the local desktop client. The functionality through both means is exactly the same. You don't lose any functionality. There's a slightly different look and feel to some of the screens, but basically they are the same. So in my sales order entry screen, there's a few things that I just want to point out, and that is all of the screens in X3 have been designed and developed in two different formats. This is the primary format, and the reason we've done that is that we understand when people do their jobs with different companies, a lot of times they need to access different screens. So we want the look and the feel to be the same within each screen, and that will reduce the amount of training that an individual needs in order to be effective and to learn what they're seeing on any screen in X3. So the way our screens are put together are in two pieces. Over on the left, we're in order entry screen. So the left side is a listing of all of the orders that I'm working with within my company. So I could see the sales order number, who the customer is. But the left list, I want you to think of it as a file cabinet. And a file cabinet has multiple drawers in it that you can open and look at different information. Here I have my order drawer open first, so I'm looking at all of my customer orders. This left list is meant to be a filter and a query tool. So, for example, if a customer called in and wanted to look at a certain PO, I could resort the information in my left list, ascending or descending, just by clicking on a column header. Or if I right-click on that column, I could use wildcards to go out and search and find a customer purchase order number. So if I know it contained 98, I could use my wildcards, hit the Enter key, and X3 will filter and find all of those purchase orders that meet that criteria. Purchase order numbers in my sales order table. The left list is user definable as well. So the fields that we're using to do the query and the filtering on, you can add additional fields during the implementation. And so if you want to look up customer orders on part of their address or by their phone number or by any other piece of data in the customer master, then you could drag those over and drop them within that left list. You can also open up different drawers. So if I look at my last read, these are the orders that I've touched most frequently. So again, just an easy way to navigate and find information. If a customer came back in and wanted to add an item to an existing sales order, rather than having to filter and look for an order, I could just go to my last read drawer, open up, and find all the orders that I've worked with. And the number of orders that's displayed as a parameter setting on the user login. It lists it's annoying. You can also just put away. You don't need to display it. You don't have to have it shown. But I like to use it because it helps me navigate through X3. I just like to make it a little bit smaller so that we don't have to see the whole thing. a little bit about the left list on the left, and you will see this will be consistent through X3. We're looking at the purchase orders, when we're looking at items in the item master, when we're looking at the chart of accounts, you'll always have a left list in those types of screens. Type of a screen that we have available within X3, and I'm just going to, let's see, find a sales order that I want to work with, and we're just going to drill down and look at the next type. So I'm going to drill down to another level of detail by opening up my stock by site screen, and here we're viewing current inventory levels and inventory statuses, and you can see there is no left list on this screen. This is a query window. It's a data lookup. I'm looking at how many of my beans I have in stock. I have 63 cases that are available to sell, and I have a lot of fields that giving me different details about the current status of my inventory. And down below is my business intelligence tool displaying the same information on the screen graphically. Within X3, wherever you have a row of columns of information, you'll always be able to right-click and bring up another menu that will drill you down to additional detail. So if we wanted to look at more information about a particular item, X3 will lead us through the different screens simply by right-clicking and drilling down so that we get very specific information. And we do right-click on a line item. Again, if a drill down is not available to an area where you need to go, then with the tool set we can move that link over, put it in that right-click menu, and it will be available for you. When I say the tool set, what I'm referring to is the development tool set that our developers have used to write the ERP X3 application is deployed with X3. So all of our customers have access to the tool set, and they can use it to do things simple, or they could use it to do things that are complex. They can use the tool set, let's say, to add user-defined tables in the database and add fields in those tables and drag over and drop them on screens wherever they need them. Or if they wanted to, they could use the tool set to write their own business logic, make a subroutine that they want to track. They can do that with our tool set, and the beauty of X3 is those changes and personal developments that they do will upgrades of the software down the road. So as you were to deploy new releases of ERP X3, the changes that you've made will survive and not be stomped over by new releases of X3. So those are the two different types of screens we use in X3. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the navigation now. And that is, a lot of times I get the question when we're in screen, well, if all of the screens look alike, how do I know where I am? And the answer to that is that we provide you breadcrumbs for our standard menus up at the top of the screen. So we could see that I'm currently in sales. I've gone to the sales order submenu, and I'm in the sales order entry screen. The breadcrumbs aren't just to find where you are. You can also drop those down and navigate to different areas within the application without having to go back to a menu and close the screen you're in. So you can open up diff screens or additional screens in X3, use them as you need to, and when you're done, simply put them away, and you're back to the screen that you were at before. So you don't need to close the screen, go to a menu, navigate through, virtually go anywhere from anywhere within the application. We do have standard menus. So if users choose not to navigate using those visual process flows, X3 does support standard menus. So we can navigate through our sales into our order entry area and down to orders the same as we would from the process flows. So it's the same screens, the same access, just a different way of getting to them. So have what we call the favorites menu. So if anybody wants to add or tailor a menu specifically for themselves, they can add these within the favorites menu very easily just by right-clicking on any selection that they find. And again, based on their permission and their security, they can add it to their favorites, which would then make it available in an easy format to find without having to go through different levels. This is very similar to your Internet Explorer. You've created your own favorites menu there by attaching websites into your Internet Explorer. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about the dashboards and some of the output capability, we've looked at the screen in X3 and how those are put together, so we know how to navigate within the application. There's a few more things here globally that I want to point out that are available throughout X3. And I'm going to drop into the Product Master and show a couple of those here to start out with. So now we're inside the Product Master in X3, and you can see here's my left list. Now these are a list of all of my products, whether they're purchased products, whether they're intermediates or sub-assemblies or finished goods that I sell to my customers. They're all contained here within my Product Master. What to show was the capability here to link documents to any record within X3. You could take any type of an electronic document that you've got stored in your network. They could be Word documents, PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, video files or video clips. Any of these types of documents that you've got stored could be linked to any record in X3. So it'd be linked to the Item Master. They could be linked to sales orders, purchase orders, anywhere we need them. The users will be able to view these on demand by just hitting the Process button, and they'll be able to look at, in this example, this is an MSDS sheet. So if we've got chemicals or thing that we need hazmat and MSDS for, we can link those documents to the different items in Item Master, and heaven forbid, should we have a chemical spill, we could print that out or view it and know how to respond to it. These could be your customers' purchase orders attached to their sales orders. They could be other purchasing documents that are stored to items. Virtually anything could be stored within the document attachment tool at anywhere within X3. X also has the capability to link or embed just textual information. And we have many places where we can embed text. And text would just be free-flowing information or additional documentation that you would need to create and have it appear on proper documents or on proper screens. So we just provide the ability to pull this text in, and then we can put it on different documents or view it on different screens as needed for additional instruction. Just makes it an easy way to communicate from one department to another so that you don't have to remember to pass information, or you don't have to remember to put something in someone's inbox. When they utilize this part, they're able to see that instruction automatically. Tool I want to show you is the one that we use to create these user-defined inquiries. Sage has put a lot of emphasis and a lot of effort into making the end-user experience favorable in X3. We've tried very hard to make it easy to use, intuitive to understand, and one of those areas that represents that the best is what I call the graphical requester. This tool has been created with the end user in mind. It's all drag and drop and allows individuals then to go and put together those queries that we saw on our dashboard. And the queries, again, there's many of these that come predefined, so I've got pages and pages over on the left. But these queries can be very easily put together. I'm going to make my screen a little bigger to use up my space. What I've got here are 3 tables that come pre-joined for me. I don't have to worry about the schema of the database and how the tables are linked. All I need to do is read each one of these fields that's in each table, and each one is described in English, not programmer language. And you could pick these fields up, drag them down, and drop them into your report bar wherever you want them to be. And you can find any field that you want to work with and drag it in and drop it anywhere. And when you're finished putting your query or your report together, there's just a few very simple steps that you follow to save your report format, validate it, which will create your executable SQL code for you, and we'll go through and execute it, run it, and it will bring back all the information that we've asked for. In this case, it's just rows and columns of data that I want to use. This information then can be further worked with by right-clicking a row and we can export this directly out to an Excel spreadsheet. X3 is integrated with the Microsoft Office products. We have integration with Word, we have integration with Outlook, integration with Excel. This will open up an Excel spreadsheet, get the same data that I've asked for in my query, and export it to that spreadsheet. It will put in different rows and columns of information so that you could then work with it and use the power of Excel as an analytical tool. You to run your business using Excel, but we still like to see Excel for reporting and for analysis. So you have predefined Excel spreadsheets as templates already set up. These could be pivot tables. This one was set up to be a query table, so if I wanted to look at just certain products, then I could specify which products that I want to see. The format of these spreadsheets is all user definable, and you'll be able to create them anywhere and store them and then reuse them over and over and over again. Okay. One other tools that we have embedded within our ERPX3 application is a tool that we call our workflow process. Our workflow process does a couple of different things. I'll describe those and then show those here in just a minute. But if I went out into the industry and asked somebody to define what workflow means, and if you asked 10 different people, you would come up with 10 different answers. But with X3, our workflow does two things. The first one is it can notify another individual of an event that has gone within the database. And can be very simple. A triggering event like inventory goes below a safety stock. It may be a customer that goes over a credit limit. It could be an order that goes on hold. It could be any of those as an event. Those events could then automatically send an email to another individual. And who that individual is up to you. It could be somebody who is outside your organization. It doesn't necessarily need to be an employee. It could send an email to your customer or to a supplier or to anybody who's got an email address. The second function that the workflow engine does is it does what I call business process automation. And if, for example, an order went in that was below an appropriate margin, I may send an email to the sales manager and ask the manager to approve that order. That manager, looking at that email, will be provided the information they need to make that decision, and will also be provided the link that takes them to ERPX3 to that order so they could review the details of it. And I've got an example of that within my purchasing area. So I've set up within my purchasing table in X3 that when I put in a purchase order that goes over a certain dollar amount, then it routes it to an individual for approval. For an example, this is my purchase order screen. I'm just going to quickly create a new purchase order to take out my purchase order number and use this as a template and just replicate it. And when I do this, it will create a workflow or an email to an individual and ask them to approve the new purchase order. And I could look at the management tab and see that I have not signed this completely. So what I need to do then is go through the signature process. So if I look in my Outlook, thing quick enough, here is what has been delivered in my Outlook for me to approve the purchase order. So here, the verbiage that has come with this workflow is user defined, and I provided the user 3 links: one to approve the purchase order, one to reject the purchase order, and another one to go in and view the details of that purchase order. Wherever this individual is, he or she can be responding to this approval through a PDA or through an iPad or a tablet or through a remote system, and they don't even need to be logged into X3 in order to be performing and doing these functions. A lot of times, though, people don't like to use their devices for that, so we can also put the same information on a dashboard for the user. So instead of looking at them one by one, they can see all of them at the same time, because in my mind, there's nothing worse than being on the golf course on the 18th green doing that final putt and having your phone vibrate in your pit, and of course I missed the shot. So rather than sending it to my phone, I would rather send these to a dashboard, and then the next time I'm in X3, I can review them. So here I can look at my purchase order. I can drill in and review the details of it. I can make changes to that purchase order before I approve it. And when I'm done reviewing it, I can either reprove it or reject it, which could make that work order or that purchase order break into different processes and have it either be validated or approved, which could then release it and get it ready to send to a supplier, or I could reject it, which would then route it back to the buyer and ask them to do additional information. The workflow engine, again, is a standard tool that's built into X3. 120 different workflows are predefined as well. This same approval process that we just looked at is available on customer orders, on customer quotes, on work orders, on new items going in the item master, on bills of materials being updated or changed. Anytime you change a record, X3 can require that change go through a level of approval before it becomes finalized. The conditions that those workflows kick off on is user defined as well. So you can set your own dollar thresholds on your purchase orders and have the approval go to individual A if it's over $100 but less than $2,500, and route to individual B if they're over $2,500. So now we've looked at the boards. We also looked at how the screens are laid out within X3 and how we navigate the application. We did some of those global tools like the business intelligence that's built in and the user-defined queries that are built in, our visual process flows that are built in, the workflow tools that are built into X3. What I want to do is just kind of drop into some of the software and show you globally some of the functionality that's available here. And the first place I want to drop in and look is at the organizational screen. ERP X3 is a multi-company enabled application. So we or you can set up different companies and run them all from within the same database and the same instance of the software. So you can set up as many companies as you need, and each company can then have sites or manufacturing plants or distribution facilities attached to them. Each of those companies can be given its own chart of accounts. It can be given its own currency. It can be given its own legislation. And a legislation is the software that we deliver with X3 that tailors the application to work with the local rules and regulations within a legislation or a jurisdiction or a country or a country zone like the Eurozone or North America. So it enables the functionality that's required in order to run it in different areas around the world. Different companies then can be grouped together so that we could view consolidated income statements, so that we could, and you can define what the hierarchy of those companies is going to be. The structure of this is all user defined within the different tables in X3. So if we drew in and looked at company 10, we would look at how it's assigned to the different sites that work with it. So the different manufacturing facilities or distribution facilities that report to this company, and they would know what the company address is and all the different demographics that go along with that company. So the within X3 is when you add a new company into your portfolio, all you need to do is create one entry in the company table, associate it with the different sites, and build it into its consolidation where it goes, and that's all you need to do. There's not a lot of setup. There's not a lot that needs to be done. Same with adding a different site. If you just wanted to create another distribution facility, in X3, you just go to the site master, you add a new record within the sites, link it to the company that it was under, and fill in a minimal amount of data, and that site is then active within ERP X3. X3 also supports the ability to do what we call inter-site transfers of material, so movement of product from one warehouse to another or from one manufacturing facility to another. And we also support the ability to do the transfer intercompany. So company A could transfer their inventory, their asset, over to a company B, and you'll have the ability then to set what the price is going to be for that transfer, and X3 will worry about the eliminations of any profit or loss of that product moving from company to company for you. Within the financial area, X3 also supports then everything you would need within the same application in order to run a business. X3 includes within it, of course, all the general ledger and the general ledger reporting. We include the ability to generate financial reports as a standard function within X3. X3 also supports the ability to use third-party tools as financial report tools, or to use the Sage products as Sage Intelligence as a financial reporting tool in order to develop income statements and balance sheets and other financial reports. We support, of course, all of the AP and the AR capability that is required in order to run a business. And X3 also supports then the ability to do any kind of electronic transfer, so ACHs, EFTs, wire transfers, and the ability to do check runs and create proposals of checks to run for AP on the AP side. AR side, X3 also supports the ability to do T's and ACHs from your customers, and we also support the concept of a lockbox so that you can have your customers send their payments to the bank lockbox. That file would then be downloaded into the ERP X3, which would then reconcile those payments and do them automatically for you. X in the financial area also covers bank reconciliation. You can download a list of the checks that have cleared your bank, and X3 will automatically reconcile those that match, and any that don't, it will put them into an error status so that you could go through manually and approve or change those as needed. The X3 application also supports very advanced budgeting concepts within applications, so doing any departmental or capital expenditure budgeting is supported, as is the fixed assets. X3 includes its own fixed assets application. It is not the Sage FAS product, which a lot of people are familiar with, but X3 has its own built-in fixed assets, which is integrated with the purchasing modules, so that when you buy a new asset, X3 will mark that and post it into the fixed asset table for you automatically, and then you could set up your different methods of depreciation with it, and it will post that depreciation each month into general ledger for you. So fully automated from the fixed assets side of the business as well. Also support in there, we'll just kind of start with the sales side again. I want to just kind of backtrack, and I'm trying to talk big picture of some of the different areas that are standard out of the box within X3. And of course, we have the ability to generate sales quotes to move them to an order. But we also support the concept of what we call a blanket order or a contract order for a customer. That would be setting up a contract over a date range for a customer, identifying the items that the customer wants to buy, and then setting up a schedule for those as a delivery schedule. And the pricing on that contract can be specific to the customer for that period of time. It could be your standard price setup within the pricing tables in X3. Includes as well the capability to do returns or RMAs from customers. So this could be one of those areas that could be very difficult to process within some applications, but in X3, we could create a return from a customer, attach it or link it to the shipment that it went out on, making sure that we give the customer the appropriate credit that we charge them for. And items that are then returned can be marked as to go into a quality inspection area before they go back into inventory, so we can approve them and make sure they're ready to be resold. And if they're not, then we could move them to an MRB status and dispose of them appropriately as needed. With the RMA numbers, we could supply the customer with the RMA number, and then that will come back to X3 when they receive it on the dock, and we could mark what they've returned, and then X3 will track the information throughout the application. X include CRM capability that is built in, and CRM stands for that customer relationship management. So we've got the ability here to do contact management with your customers, so we can keep track of things like phone calls that we've set up, or tasks or appointments that we've logged. This information, as we enter it in X3, will synchronize with your Microsoft Outlook. Or if you enter this kind of information in your Microsoft Outlook, it will synchronize with ERX3 as the user logs in again. So a lot of our customers use the call feature to track different types of phone calls that they've stored or created with their customers, whether they're collection calls from the accounting area or customer service calls or complaints from the quality people. We can store that information within X3 and then respond to it as needed, or maybe use our business intelligence tool to look and trend this information over time to find out how many complaint calls are we getting about a certain product or from a certain customer, and then we can put that information on our dashboard to see it on a basis. Customer relationship application also keeps track of any new opportunities. So if you're working with new customers to go out and gain their business, then we can create the opportunity manager very similar to how you would in ACT or Microsoft or in Golden or any of the other Salesforce automation tools that are available within the marketplace. On the purchasing side, we also track here purchasers, also track contract or blanket orders from a purchasing aspect. So you can set up with your suppliers a contract over a period of time and schedule releases against those contracts for delivery of product to your organization. So you can ask for a special pricing to be effective over a date range, log that pricing within the contract, and then set up the schedule for delivery as to when you expect those products to be done. The ERP3 application is an MRP-driven application. So there are parameters that get established for the MRP. That stands for the Material Requirements Planning Engine. And what that does is it will go out and recalculate those products that you need to buy, how much of them you need to buy, and when they need to get purchased. And X3 will present those in a dashboard for the user so that the user, rather than typing in and manually creating purchase orders, can simply firm those up with the click of a button and make them into purchase orders automatically. So in this example, this is my dashboard showing all of the items that need to be purchased, the quantity of those that need to be purchased, and the supplier that I purchased them from. Generate all my purchase orders, I simply click my Generate button, which is at the top of the screen, so I don't have to retype all of these purchase orders. X3 also supports the return to vendor processing that is important. Products come in that don't pass inspection. We need to be able to do something with them. So we've set the capability to return those products to a vendor at the end of a MRB or a Material Review Board process. So by doing that, we can link those back to the purchase order and the receiving that got that product in. We can analyze it in-house, run our tests against it, and if it fails those tests, then we use our RTV to send those back. And the act of generating the RTV will create a credit memo and post that on the supplier's account so that we don't overpay that supplier. X3 also supports here in the purchasing area the ability to do electronic purchase requisitions. So if you're used to doing those on paper, if somebody's computer screen fails and they need to go buy a new one, then rather than generating a piece of paper and walking it through an organization for signatures, within X3 you can generate a purchase requisition and you can route it automatically using the workflow engine to ask another individual to approve it. And based on the dollar amount or based on the item, it could do specific individuals for approval. Once those purchase requisitions are approved, they go to through the approval process, then they could flow to a purchase order automatically, and then it's just a matter of issuing the PO and receiving it in order to have the goods arrive. So a fully functional supplier management and for all of the purchasing needs within an organization. On the manufacturing tab, this one is a very important area, but here within X3 is where we support all the concepts of creating a formula or a bill of material. Either term that we use, X3 supports all of those. Here what we've got is an item that we produce, and a list of all of the components or all of the ingredients and the quantity of those that go into these. So what this is the overview of how we do job costing, and within X3, how we associate all the costs of a product that go into a product when we go through our shop floor and our manufacturing area. We have the concept of a routing, which is a list of instruction and different steps and work centers that we utilize in order to manufacture an item. And here we determine what the amount of labor and what the amount of machine time is going to be in order to produce a certain item. So X3 can be very detailed within its job cost analysis, or it can be just an overview of the job cost analysis. You can set up to the level of detail how much you want to see within the job costing area, and X3 will support you in your endeavors there. So shop floor and the execution side of X3, we support all of the barcode data collection and the data retrieval using handheld devices and RF devices on the shop floor. So we print paperwork with barcodes on them, and individuals within the manufacturing and the distribution area can be recording their information by scanning it off their paperwork, and it will record within X3 automatically. And the beauty of doing it that way is the information gets recorded one time only, and the opportunity for error is virtually eliminated. You don't have to worry about reading someone's handwriting or somebody punching the data in incorrectly later. When they scan it and bring it in through the handheld devices, it's automatic and it's correct 99.9% of the time. So the area that we want to look at just briefly is within the warehousing area. And X, again, being a multi-site, multi-distribution enabled application, you can have products stored at different distribution facilities. And within those distribution facilities, you can set up locations that you store your product in. So you could have one product in multiple locations within multiple warehouses, all user-defined. X3 here also supports the concept of the cycle counts. So you can set up DIMs to be counted at different frequencies, and then you can create these count lists on a daily basis, and those counts can be reported with those handheld barcode data collection devices as well. X also supports in the counting area a physical inventory at the end of the year. So if customer needs, they'll be able to create count sheets and tags, go out and do their physical counts, and then record those within X3 and post any variances automatically. The things that I want to talk about just a little bit here before we open up the lines for questions, and that is within our customers who we've sold the ERP X3 application to. I just want to give you a little bit of an idea of who those people are. Half of our customers are what we would consider process manufacturers, those people who work with food and beverage or pharmaceutical or cosmeceutical or chemicals. The other half of our customers, those are a quarter in total, are what we would consider discrete manufacturers. People who are making widgets like knives or computers or bicycles or more tangible objects. The other quarter of our customers are distribution-only customers. So the reason I'm saying this is because X3 is a very feature-rich application and works across the board in all of these different areas very well. And it's a parameter-driven system, so based on how we set parameters within X3 will dictate how the application functions for our users in the field. So we could set the switches in one direction to make X3 look more distribution, and we could set switches in a different direction to make it look process manufacturing. And this is all done during implementation as we go through and put the software to work. So that said, I'm finished with my overview presentation. So what I'd like to do at this time is just open up the phone lines for any questions or any specific topics that anybody would like to either cover or ask about.
Have been unmuted.
Welcome, everybody. Are there any questions there?
I have a question.
Okay.
I personally